Let's turn to another story which we wanted to bring you, and that is the number of those returning from fighting or supporting ISIS in the Middle East, coming back to their home countries from Iraq and Syria. And according to a new study, the number of those who have made that journey has been vastly underestimated. Researchers from King's College in London found that women with links to the so-called Islamic State had been actively involved in various plots across the world. We can talk to one of the authors of that report, Dr. Joana Cook, who's from the International Centre for the Study of Radicalisation. Thanks for being with us on World Update. There have been these reports, of course, of people coming back, but what did you identify, Doctor?
Yeah, so there were two major findings that came out of our research. We firstly determined for the first time with evidence that across 80 countries, women and minors represented up to 25% of those officially recorded having become affiliated with the so-called Islamic State. And so these are persons who are either born into the organization, persons who were coerced into going over, or persons who, particularly some women and even teenagers, who very willingly went and were ideologically engaged by the organization or traveled for a number of other motivations. So for the first time, we have evidence to show that at least 1 in 4 recorded persons that joined the so-called Islamic State were women and minors. And I would caveat this by saying we believe this is a vast underestimation because of the gaps in data that currently exist. So we were only able to find confirmed figures for less than half of the countries from which we recorded foreign fighters.
And of course, these people, they have passports from those countries, and it can't be especially difficult if you adopt the right attitude, dress the right way, to get back into your country with that passport. So as you say, it's likely to be an underestimate.
We believe that it is an underestimate, and so in terms of returnees, we were able to identify about 21% of those that have now returned. So we've identified 7,366 persons who have now returned to their home countries. 21% of those were women and minors. But one of the interesting things that came out of this was that women only represented 4% of these. So the number of women that are being recorded as returning to their countries is vastly underestimated, or we're not sure exactly what that indicates in terms of where they are now.
Are they a threat, though? Are they, the women, are the children, are they really a threat?
So we don't want to fearmonger with this research. What this research indicates is that women and minors have been vastly underestimated. But what we believe and what we encourage governments who are assessing potential threats from ISIS to consider is what threat some women and some minors may pose. We recognize that many of the children and many of the infants that were born there were victims and require significant reintegration, rehabilitation, and psychosocial support. We recognize that some individuals were probably also coerced or forced to go. But we do want to also recognize that some of these individuals, women and minors, may pose a potential threat and must be considered in any efforts to deal with IS returnees going forward.
Dr. Cook, thank you. Dr. Joana Cook from the International Centre for the Study of Radicalisation. That's a research centre at King's College in London.